about?
So, my name is Fundiswa Ngqeleni, as you have said, from the Legal and Systemic Division within the Office of the Tax Ombud. So what we do in this office is that we deal with complaints, that is tax-related complaints, that emanate from the application of the provisions of a tax act that is administered by the receiver of revenue, being SARS. So for us to actually deal with your complaint, it needs to relate to a tax act. There has to be a service failure on the part of SARS, or there has to be a procedural or administrative issue relating to that specific tax complaint that you are bringing to us.
All right. And when it comes to the kinds of services that you then offer to taxpayers, what are some of those?
So our services are free. That means that they are at no tax, at no cost to a taxpayer that's approaching our offices for assistance, but the fiscus actually puts the bill for it. So as I've said, it has to relate to a tax complaint against SARS.
Okay. And now today we are focusing more around investigation that has come up into the case of filing profile hijacking. Hello? Can you still hear me? Fundiswa ukhona?
Thandisa, I'm going to switch off video yam.
Okay.
Because I think it's giving us issues. There's a bit of lag behind. So I think maybe the
video is affecting that. Fundiswa, are you still there? All right. We seem to have lost her while she's trying to reconnect. I'm hoping that she can be able to reconnect as quickly as possible. Fundiswa usekhona?
You're frozen from my side. Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, I can hear you.
All right. So I was now starting to get into the matter that we wanted to discuss today, ne?
No problem.
Yes. So today we are focused on, giving you an opportunity to help us and unpacking and understanding the investigation that has come up into the case of e-filing profile hijacking at SARS. And I want you to, start by giving us an understanding by how did this come about, and also, why the investigation. And that's the first element that I want you to just highlight to us as the public.
Okay. So what happened is that we received a lot of queries, a lot of concerns and complaints, actual complaints from different taxpayers and stakeholders on the alarming increase in reports of hacked e-filing of taxpayers' profiles. So according to the information that we obtained, that was brought to us by especially your tax practitioners, is that the fraudsters, what they do is they obtain access to the taxpayer's e-filing profile. What they then do is that they change the taxpayer or the practitioner's security details. Thereafter, the banking details are then changed. And then what they do after they've changed the banking details, they then submit returns on behalf of the taxpayer. And then the refunds are then redirected to a different bank account that does not belong to the taxpayer or the practitioner. So the intention then of our investigation, what we are trying to achieve with the whole process, is that we want to determine what the root cause is and how then it can be remedied.
And when did you realize that this was happening, or maybe let me put it like this: when did the formal investigation start? Has it started? Is it already underway, or are you planning to commence it?
So the investigation itself has not commenced, but what has happened is that we sent a request to the Minister of Finance to investigate the e-filing profile hijacking. That was in July sometime. And then in August, we received a response from the Minister of Finance granting us permission. So at this point in time, we are still finalizing the logistics of that are associated actually with the actual investigation. We've finalized the scope, and we're still then waiting for confirmation of the meeting between SARS and the OTO, where we will obviously be introduced to each other and address the issues then of the scope and the like.
And how does this then affect, how does it affect everyone, like the different stakeholders? I know that the investigation is obviously going to be underway, but I'm sure you've already been able to pick up some of the ways and the manner in which this SARS e-filing profile hijacking has been able to affect maybe businesses, individuals, and also taxpayers, all the different stakeholders within the space.
So the main problem is that, remember, when your profile is allegedly hacked, right, and the person then and the refund is paid out, and then SARS subsequently conducts, let's say, an audit or a verification where they determine that actually the taxpayer was not due a refund. So what they do then is that they issue an additional assessment, which means then they're writing back the refund that was paid, which puts now the taxpayer in an outstanding liability where the taxpayer actually owes the receiver money.
Yeah.
So the argument then made is that, but I did not receive that refund, somebody else did, but now I have to pay, because SARS then wrote back the refund and issued an additional assessment.
Yeah. And in that instance, what are my rights as a taxpayer? Because as a taxpayer, I am truly at fault. I am victim to a crime, and I think both SARS and I are victim to this crime. And I don't think it's fair to then expect the taxpayer to pay money that they did not even receive because of failure in a system.
So SARS then, when we send the complaints to them, or where the taxpayer, even if they haven't approached us, they actually send their complaint to SARS. It's recorded, a call is logged, and then they conduct their own investigation. So on some of them, it has been found that actually taxpayers, I'm going to use the term loosely, say that they were reckless in terms of their login details. Remember, your e-filing, you treat it as you would your banking details, where they always tell us that do not share your password with anybody. We would never send you links. We would never ask you to confirm your PIN or
online.
So some of the stuff, I'm not saying, remember, we haven't conducted the investigation as yet. But I'm saying on some where SARS has actually responded, it has been found that there was a role that a taxpayer would have played, be it that they were reckless with their login details, or where the alleged fraudsters, would have sent either an SMS, right, with a link or an email, and then the taxpayer clicks on the link, and then they get access through that on their personal profile login details. And on some, taxpayers have been found to truly have been a victim. There's been no part that they've played. So that's why I'm saying that, honestly speaking, we just need to determine what is the root cause. And then we can then make informed recommendations, if any, on how then the issue going forward can be remedied.
And looking at the fact that both, I don't know, I would assume that, there would be a bit of difference in relationship, but I want to pose a question that between now the tax ombud and SARS, since the investigation, and maybe the approval from the finance minister for the go ahead of the investigation, how has the relationship been between these two institutions?
Oh, it's fine. I would say it's business as usual. As I've said, we are in the middle of sourcing a meeting date to sort out the logistics and the people that will be identified for us to liaise with in conducting the investigation. So it's also again important to remember that we're still going to conduct the investigation. We're still going to determine what the root cause is. And then subsequent to that, we will then communicate the outcome and make recommendations where applicable.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm hoping that, out of the investigation, at least, it does not point towards the direction of there being any compromise of the e-filing system itself, because I think it would really be, a major challenge. And I mean, if the system itself would be totally hacked and maybe more profiles hacked and these things happening, it would be so like the fiscus would literally lose money in the bigger scope of things, more than the different individuals that would potentially be affected, or hypothetically as speaking be affected. I think on the bigger scope, it would be the losses on the fiscus that would be, a danger. But obviously we need to, as the public, allow the process to unfold, the investigations, and we are probably going to request another interview with the tax ombud once you have some, like, on the outcome of the investigation, and also what the decisions or recommendations are at the end of it all. Do you think that it's premature for me to ask of your envisaged time frame to conduct the investigation? Is it there, or because it's still at infancy, you have not yet gotten to a point to say, no, we're going to be taking 8 months, 6 months, 12 months to conduct the process?
It's still at its infancy. And I don't want to be premature and give you guys a predetermined time frame, but because of the seriousness of the issue, we are going to do our best to try and work on it as fast as we possibly can. Yeah.
It is quite sensitive. I think, though, in the meantime, there also needs to be a sensitization of taxpayers to just go to their profiles and make sure that, they change their details. I don't know, some kind of an advice for in the meantime. Maybe change your password right now, or because I think, you're using a brilliant word that says root cause, because that is what is going to determine why this is happening. But because now I'd be assuming that maybe it's because there's passwords are weak, or they're compromised, but maybe someone at SARS is allowing this to happen, but maybe it's just recklessness. So there are too many maybes at this stage, but I guess it would not hurt for taxpayers to just make sure that your things are still in order, because I'm even thinking that maybe you might pick it up later, like after a little bit of a while that it's happened, and especially if your details have been changed, so the notifications will not come through. I'm imagining a situation where even 3 weeks would pass and you don't even know that your e-filing profile is compromised,
Yeah, so also as a taxpayer and as an e-filer, we just need to be vigilant, guys, when it comes to our login details. And also, please be vigilant. Do not open links. If you get an email that says it's a notice from SARS, please open this link, delete the message, and then just go on your e-filing profile to check for notices. Because remember, if you are a registered e-filing user, SARS, you always indicate on your registration, how do you prefer
communication
to receive your communication.
Yeah.
So that's also key, that link and ask you to click on it. If now the email purports to be from SARS and has a link, or where you actually have to call somebody, and when you call that person, they then say, oh, we've sent you an OTP. Please just verify the OTP. Alarm bells should ring. So let's be vigilant when it comes to our login details. And also in terms of the messages that we receive. If you are unsure, rather don't click on it, call the SARS contact center, or go on your e-filing without clicking on a link to verify whether there's any notice that's been issued to you.
I think the other danger is that thing of auto. How do I put it? Where you put your passwords and your login details and you leave them there, like so that it's easier for you when you're logging in every single time. That's a major, major, major danger. And I think our taxpayers need to realize that if people can actually hijack your e-filing, then they could potentially like get a lot of money out of that process that you might find yourself liable for at the end of the day if there's any negligence on your side. So I think
Yes.
yes, if you've also played a part, I think it compromises the whole thing where it's like, but you were the one that left your details there. They were already logged in, or you gave them to your
You
assistant to
gave them
or
to your
and maybe
cousin. Yeah.
yes, yes. I think it's a very sensitive matter that we need to treat with the utmost importance. Yeah, with the utmost importance. And when it comes to the different complaints that you deal with, I know that currently this is kind of a very important one and a high alert type of a complaint. But what other complaints do you deal with at the tax ombud?
So the theme changes depending on the time of the year, like during filing season as it is now. We receive a lot of complaints that relate to the delay in paying out a refund, or where the taxpayer has been selected for verification, a delay in finalizing the verification process. Remember, when you've been selected for verification, SARS has 21 business days within which to finalize the verification process. If additional information is requested from you, then obviously the time, how do I put it? The time is frozen up until you're given a specific number of days for you to submit that information. Once you submit that information, then the time frame, then another time frame kicks in. Also, another one that's prominent during this time is where the taxpayer now, SARS has issued an additional assessment. The taxpayer says that I don't agree with the additional assessment. Then the taxpayer lodges an objection, or where a decision is taken on an objection, the taxpayer notes an appeal. SARS again has a specific time frame to take a decision on an objection, which is 60 days, where further information is requested 45 days after that information is submitted. So also with an appeal, there's specific timeframes, which is 90 business days. There's also other components that go into that. But simply put, during this time, there's also that element where the taxpayer has objected or appealed against an assessment or a decision. Then SARS takes time in finalizing or taking a decision regarding that objection or appeal.
Right. Yeah, that is quite interesting. And also on the notion of some of the disputes and complaints that taxpayers have with SARS, where they end up going to the court. Talk to us about the difference between going to a court and going to the tax ombud. Is it better to go to the court or to go to the tax ombud for the resolution of some of these complaints?
So if a taxpayer uses or decides to use our office for resolution of their tax complaint, obviously if it falls within our mandate and it's something that we can entertain, there's several advantages over taking the matter to court.
Okay.
First one would be, like I said earlier, is that simply put, where we say that our services are free. Whereas if you go to court, it can be expensive due to the legal fees and other associated costs. And also, if we look at I'd say for quicker resolution, because we try our utmost best to resolve the complaints more swiftly than you normally would get through the court system, which can be bogged down by lengthy procedures and, of course, backlogs. And then our process is less formal and more user-friendly, which makes it easier then for a taxpayer, like a normal taxpayer, to navigate without needing legal representation. Having said that, there are matters where we would say that, listen, because we see what the taxpayer is complaining about, and we can pick up that perhaps the taxpayer does not understand the nitty-gritties of the process itself. And then we don't offer advice, but we would kind of like point out that perhaps you might want to get yourself representation, be it a tax practitioner or a legal representation. But because we pick up that there's misalignment in terms of their interpretation and what actually is supposed to happen. And also, we are impartial. We operate independently from SARS, and we give an unbiased view or unbiased review of a complaint, in the sense that if the taxpayer is in the wrong, we will tell you, Thandisa, that no, you are in the wrong. Get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You are pursuing the matter using the wrong avenue. You need to go back. Or we then say that no, if the matter is within our mandate and it's something that we can entertain, then we say that no, SARS, here, there is a service failure or there's a procedural or administrative issue that we've identified that SARS then needs to sort out. And also we are more accessible, I guess, to the general public. And by saying that, I just mean that if you don't have the resources to pursue legal action. So there's a lot of
yes,
advantages, depending, as I said, depending on the technicalities of the issue, because some of the matters, it's very important for me to point out again, matters that fall within our mandate, it's very important because it then triggers whether we can help you or if we can't.
True. And I think I like what you've mentioned a bit earlier, to say that obviously you look at complaints that relate to matters that could not be resolved within the SARS parameters and that fall within your scope and mandate, and then you take those up and you look at whether or not you look at resolving them. You look at resolving them. But I think basically it would be wise, looking at the advantages that you've just presented, for maybe a taxpayer to knock on your doors and to just get advice. I like the fact that you're saying you're not impartial and you are not biased in any way. So you'll be able to just say black and white, no gray area. And when the taxpayer is wrong, it's wrong. When SARS is wrong, it's wrong. And I think at the end of the day, what the taxpayer is hoping and looking for is a resolution of the matter, and the truth of in understanding what actually happened in those complaints that come through. Otherwise, Fundiswa, we truly appreciate that you've come through and have had this conversation with us. We hope that the investigation is going to be, it's going to shed a lot of light for, for the greater benefit of the taxpayers and also for the greater benefit of the fiscus itself. If people or taxpayers want to contact your office, how do we find you? What do we do in order for us to get hold of you and make use of the services of the tax ombud?
We've got a toll-free number, which is 0800 662 837, or you can email us at complaints@taxombud.gov.za. I'm not sure if people still use snail mail.
What is that?
I don't know what that is. Postal address.
What is that?
I'm not sure.
What is that?
Oh my goodness. But also we've got an office in Pretoria. We only have one office, which is in Manlin Corner, 87 Frikkie de Street. So for a person who's in Pretoria, you can actually pop in. But everything, I think it works out easier if you just go to complaints@taxombud.gov.za, because you'll find everything there. Or just call the toll-free number if you have a query or you require further clarity before lodging a complaint.
Is the tax ombud anywhere on the socials? Because that's the easier way of communicating as well, or finding information at least, or a website.
We are. I just don't know what the handles are. I'm not on social media. I'm so sorry.
You know, snail mail. That's what you know.
That tells you my age.
I
That
know.
should tell you.
All right. But you do have a website, Moss. Because I'm
Yes,
sure we can get them from the website.
from the website. Yes, definitely.
Okay, no problem. Thank you so much, Sissy, for coming through. It has been quite an interesting and enlightening conversation. We appreciate it.
I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.